Right. Live streaming. Stream now. It says I'm offline. Don't you love this, guys? Greatest thing ever. It says I'm broadcasting. Alright, let's see. Where is it showing? Ooh, fooyah, fooyah, fooyah. Am I actually streaming properly or am I not? That is indeed the question. It says I'm not streaming. Okay. Okay, great. Alright, we're just getting it set up so my peeps at... Thank you! That's it! Awesome, Snooper! You are the man! Alright. Let me get my Powerade Zero so I have something to drink. Alright, let's get this started. So today what we're doing is we're actually going to be doing a basic dungeon map. Let me turn the notifications off on Discord. There we go. Okay, so this is a very basic dungeon map, and the reason is because I've done a lot of live streams of the overworld, especially of forests. Trees, 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 so many trees. Oh god, too many trees. And I wanted to do something a little different this time, which is a dungeon map. This is a very simple dungeon map, probably one of the most simple I've ever done. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and show you guys what the critical path is going to be. Alright, let's go ahead and do new layer, critical path, and we'll go ahead and map that out. So the player is going to start here. They're going to go up here and see a locked door. So they're going to come back down here, hit a switch, come back around, go up here, go here, find another locked door, go here, hit a switch, and then come up here to the exit. So this is probably the most simple dungeon you're going to see in Rosenhearts. This takes place between the north and south section of the Nile River. So it's just a very quick little jaunt underground between two overworld maps. The reason it's so simple is the real reason it's so simple is because I wanted to show you guys how to do a dungeon using parallax mapping. And I wanted to show you guys how to do a simple dungeon in, for game flow. The other reason is because it's something really quick, really dirty, you can just put together. And, that way it's just something you can kind of throw together real fast. So you can use this to create more complex dungeon maps and even more complex dungeons, I guess, for lack of a better term. Sorry, I'm a little distracted by something on my channel. It's hopefully someone is... Yeah, okay. Sorry guys, just give me a second here. It says live stream offline. Oh, okay. There we go. Now I'm in the right one. Okay, there it is. Now I'm seeing, yes, Epic Mighty Cloud. Yes, this is a very typical common dungeon. This is a very, sorry, yeah, I just saw all the stuff, all the chat. I was on the wrong stream. Anyway, yeah, Epic Mighty Cloud, this is very simple. I don't recommend you doing this too often. In fact, you can really only get away with this once in a dungeon. This can get away with this dungeon design once per game. I wouldn't do this regularly. Otherwise, it gets really boring. It looks like there's not a whole lot of effort in here. I may not even go with this. I may actually change this up for the final release of the game. But just for the virtue of showing you guys, I wanted to make this as simple as possible. So, and why not put keys? We could put keys instead of switches. I mean, what I end up doing once I pull it back into RPG Maker, I have a lot of leeway with it. But again, just for showing you guys how to build a dungeon in parallax mapping, I just put something real simple together. So we'll see if we end up using this in the final thing or not. Okay, so the first thing I did is I built this in RPG Maker. And I built this so that it would be the outline of the dungeon. Here's my critical path again. And the second thing I did, and I did this offline because I wanted to, this actually took a while. This probably took about a good 30 minutes, and I don't want to bore you guys, but I'll show you all what I did. The first thing I did was I went over here to Selena's temple tile set, which if you're doing a non-commercial game, you can use these for free. Otherwise, they cost quite a bit. I went ahead and I scaled these up to the right scale, and I grabbed this right here, and I put them down in each one of these tiles, and then tiled out my entire floor. And I named it floor layer, which is what this is. Again, this is going to look really horrible. I'm going to be doing a lot of work on it today to make it look good. But this is just the basics of what I did for prep work for the stream today. Then what I did is I took this right here and resized those and put those for the walls right here. Let me go ahead and remove the grid so you can see what I've done. So then I went ahead and I just kind of added those in to make the wall layer. Again, this is not how it's going to look at last. This is way too sterile for a dungeon. Then the last thing I did was I took this right here, the ceiling, and I made a copy of it and brought it into its own layer. Then what I did was I used up here adjustments replace color, and I chose this, and I worked around with the hue, and I'm not going to do it again, but I worked around with the hue and the lightness in order to make a color that matched this one, and that's how I ended up with the ceiling layer here. So now we have something that looks a little better than this, but still looks absolutely sterile, and I would not use this in a final version of my game if my life depended on it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break up the monotony. And we're going to break up the monotony. That's wonderful, WarioLand. Yes, thank you. So to answer your question, Wario, we're mapping a very, very basic dungeon. Very basic. This is just to show you guys how to do some underworld mapping, how to do some dungeon mapping, and how to take something that looks very stale and boring and turn it into something that's exciting and catching to the eye. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start messing with these tiles. I'm going to lock the base layer, the ceiling layer, and the wall layer, but I'm going to keep the floor layer open for the moment. And first thing I'm going to do, before I go in here and start grabbing these tiles here to make it look a little different, is I am going to go ahead and create a tile that is kind of pushed up a bit, so it looks like something that has been pried up a little through time and wear and tear. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab this here, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to create two versions of it. Then I'm going to take this version here, which is the top one, and I'm going to edit, transform, and skew it. Get a little closer in. That's too close. Okay, that's fine. Edit, transform, skew. Right, yeah, Zelda 1. So I'm going to lift this up just a little. About a little under 5 degrees. Let's make it 5, and even 5. There we go. And you can't see a darn thing, and that's okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer, which is the one right below it, which is a single tile. I'm going to go to brightness contrast. I'm going to bring the brightness all the way down. Then I'm going to go back to this layer and choose blending options. Go to stroke. And I'm going to change the color to be more like that. A little darker. There we go. So now we have something that looks like a tile that has been jutted up a little bit. And if you wanted to, again, this is more along the lines of me taking time. If I wanted to, I could grab this little area here, jut it down some, and make it look like it's buckled. That might not be a bad idea. See how that looks. I hadn't thought about that earlier. There we go. That actually looks pretty good. So it looks like it's buckled. And it's been broken up, and through wear and tear, it now looks a lot worse than it actually does. We'll just go ahead and call this buckled tile. Okay, and we're going to create several of these, but for now we're going to come back to it, and we're going to grab this bad boy right here, put it in, and see how it's seamlessly see how it's seamless? We're going to call that holy tile. See what I did there? I know, I'm cheesy. So just these two are going to start breaking up all this sterile, stale space. We're going to do the same thing here for the walls. I'm just going to bring it all in and then start moving them around. And this is where I had to do some resizing, so I brought that in. Transform scale. Rescale that a little better. There we go. And I'm going to bring over this one right here with the moss on it because that just looks cool. Hello there, Browsy. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Bring that right there. And scale that. There we go. So we'll call this holy wall. And we'll call this mossy wall. Alright, what else do I want to do? See, we could change up the walls completely, which is not a bad idea. I'll take a look at the temple when I'm done and see how that goes. And we could place these in there. In fact, let's do that right now while we're thinking about it. We'll place that one over here where the switch/key is going to go. Well, that's going to be interesting. Can we transform it? Oh, it's going to look terrible. Okay, so we're not going to be able to use this without it looking weird. Like that. Oh, wait a minute. What am I doing? There we go. Nope, that don't work. You have to use this. Actually, right here. There we go. Just do that. Go to select, inverse, and delete. There we go. So now we have a nice little over thing that we can use. This is really clever. It's way harder to make a place look less symmetrical built with actual symmetry in mind. So force, for example, that's some good advice. Thank you, Phil. And we'll call this floor decoration. All right. So we're going to come back over here, and we're going to start making this thing look like crap. Actually, before I do that, probably want to add my entrances and my exits. Because that's going to influence pretty much where everything goes in 2 rooms. There we go. Call this stairs A. And we're going to call this over here. Call that stairs B. Might help if I spell properly. There we go. Okay, so now we get a very fun job. Yes, this is parallax mapping browsing. Yes. I pretty much exclusively do parallax mapping for my games. But this is also to show you how to break something up and how to make it look good. I mean, you can do this in the tile set as well. Come over here for a second. Go over here. So you can use all these walls that are here, everything that's, right here, and you can use that to kind of break things up. The whole idea is not to use the same, I mean, it's going to look terrible, I know, but the whole idea is not to use the same thing. You don't want your map to look sterile. Okay, so let's put in some buckled tiles. Put one over here, and the whole thing here is just to put stuff to where it just kind of mishmatches with everything else. So nothing looks uniform, nothing looks like you've planned it out, nothing looks like it's, sterile. I use the word sterile or stagnant. Don't always put things in the same location. Like, for example, I have the center tile right here is buckled. Don't put the center tile as buckled in every single map, every single section. Just kind of mix it up a little. And in doing this, what you're doing is you're breaking up the monotony for the human eye, because the human eye can only see certain things. And if the human eye sees a lot of pattern, a lot of the same thing over and over again, it starts to get bored, or it gets confused, or it just sees, it's like, those little designs that you see where the spiral is just going in, it looks like everything's moving when you stare at it. You want to avoid that. That's what we're trying to avoid here. Okay, we're going to add in some holy tiles. Probably add in more of these because these are very vibrant and show up really well. Might have to fix the buckled tiles a little bit. We'll see how the buckled tiles look in the final product. Okay. So it's starting to look a little more broken up. It's starting, ooh, did I put a buckled tile and a holy tile in the same place? Can't have that. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, so now that I'm looking at the buckled tiles, and this is at 100%, so this is at the same level that the player will see. The buckled tiles need a little bit of work. So I'm going to go ahead and add another stroke over there. Make it lighter. There we go. So that kind of bevels it a bit. And what we do is we just copy the layer style and just paste it. You could also bevel it if you want to, using the beveled tool in Photoshop, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you're used to using it, because you can make something look really, I'll just show you. Let me see, where is it? Okay, there it is. Okay, so we get rid of drop shadow. So it's this one right here, pay attention to it. If you use bevel and emboss, see how it kind of changes it to give it a 3D look? You can bring things down, bring the depth down, stuff like that, but unless you know exactly what your settings are and you're really good at it, it'll look like crap for something that's this small. So I just really recommend using stroke, and using stroke with different colors. It really just, it kind of fills in, your brain fills in the blanks. There we go. Like the cross in the center too. Thank you. There we go. Okay, so we just bring these up here. We don't need to worry about those. Okay, so we'll add in more buckled tiles and holy tiles in a second. Right now we're going to deal with the walls. Oh, we need to create a group. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Okay, group for layers. Call this floor tiles. And we'll call this wall tiles. Okay, so that way we can see how things look. And you can see how it looks. See how it looks all sterile with it out? I mean, it's boring. This breaks it up some. Okay, so now let's work on the walls for a bit. Add some holy walls. Add some mossy walls. Because this is an old decrepit temple. It's been around for a long time. There's a lot to it. You know, a lot that's been degraded over time. There's no reason. It's going great, Skyforger. Thanks for asking. Just busy working on this. For those of you who are on Discord, I know you're always asking Teal and I how things are going with Rosenhearts, and things progress slowly because not only do we have a channel to broadcast to, but we have jobs and stuff we have to do outside of RPG Maker, so it can get a little difficult at times to work on these projects, but we always try to make a little advancement each day. Excuse me. Okay, back to the buckled tiles. Let's put one here in the corner. Thank you, SG. Actually, I think that'll look really good. That way it can look like some real big bullshit was going on over there. It's not going to look good. But that will. And we're going to add more. Don't think this is it. All we're doing right now is we're just adding extra tiles to the map. Let's add one here. Add a buckled tile here. Buckled tile here. Add a holy tile here. We're going to add more holy tiles. We need more holy tiles. Okay. Let's see how that looks. That's good enough for government work. I got to come up here and do the same. Now, I'm tempted, I'm not going to, but I am tempted to take these and start copying these and bring them up here. But since it's such a small area, there's no reason in the world why I can't just go through each one of these and add them manually. Go ahead and add the wall tiles while I'm thinking about it. If this was a really large map, I might be able to get away with doing some copying and pasting of the different rooms in order to save myself some time. But I don't really have that luxury. It's too small of a map. Okay, and we add some holes here. Add some buckles here. Hey, Zarsla, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day. Add another buckle down here. All right, then we add some more. It's kind of like adding trees, except not as terrible. I hate adding trees. Sad part is I still have another couple of jungles to do for the Rosenhearts. We got to do the Congo Basin as well, because that's also a dungeon that the girls go to later on in the game. So I get more trees. Teal thinks it's hilarious. Teal always laughs. Says, yep, you got more trees, Teal. That right there. That guy down there. Save. Set him right here. Right there. There, right there. Almost done with this portion of things. Tell you what, just to incentivize you guys to stick around, when I am done with this part and I'm actually finished with this dungeon, I'll show you guys a little bit of the Rosenhearts. Just a little bit, not much, because we're still under development, but I'll show you a little bit of how it's working and how it's coming along. Hopefully you all will be able to hear music. All right, we're going to add a little bit more of these guys here. Yeah, it's good. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and add more wall. I like the idea of the wall, of the holes in the wall and the holes in the floor right next to each other. That just looks really nice. We're going to put 2 holes here. And 2 mosses up here. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be really sneaky and put moss all along the wall here so that it looks like it's heading up to the surface. No, I don't want to do that because I'm going to add more stuff later on. If I add too much stuff, will there be a whole falling scene there? Not sure what you mean there, SG. If you mean are people going to be falling down holes, no. No, this is as I said at the beginning of the stream, this is a very simple dungeon. I'm doing this just to show you guys how to spruce up your dungeons and make your dungeons look exciting in parallax mapping. I might not even go, I might end up scrapping this whole dungeon setup, we'll see. We'll see whether or not it makes it to the final cut of the game. Okay, we'll just go here. Now we're just kind of going through and making sure everything is nice and even. Huh, I wonder how that didn't work out. Yeah, okay. Well. Okay. Let's take a look at this. So now it looks less boring. Make a copy of that. Put that right. Yeah, put that right there. There we go. There's our marker of where the switch or keys are. That'll work. Okay, so it's a little less boring now. A little more apropos. And we're going to add more. We're going to keep on adding more. Probably one of the best pieces of advice I can give you about dungeon making is just keep adding junk until it looks good. But that's going to sound horrible, so we're not actually going to do that. We're actually going to add stuff. Okay. So we got this junk right here, and this is fantastic, and I love Selenia for putting this in here. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to, in a couple of places, completely cover up sections of the floor. And if that means that I have to move a buckled tile, I will, but we'll see. Move that. Move that. Okay. So we're going to paste this. Ooh, that'll fit a wall. Oh, absolutely. Oh, hands down. Like Bob Ross said, there are no mistakes, they're just happy little accidents. Yeah, why not? And game over. Thank you. Yeah, Selena's tiles are amazing. As I tell everyone who's working on an RPG Maker game, if you're going to do a non-commercial game, she lets you use them for free. If you're going to do a commercial game, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. but in both cases, it's absolutely worth it. Hands down, some of the best tiles I've ever seen, period. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding this junk to various pieces, parts. Wall moss, floor moss, floor moss copy. There we go. I don't like that. I'm just going to go ahead and cover this whole room right here. And I am going to get rid of the moss covering and I have a plan, don't worry. This is all going to work out. Whoa! Did not want to do that. Okay. Oops. There we go. And now that we got that, we just cut that out there. There we go. Ooh, that looks nice. I think I'm going to go ahead and copy that and put that in another room somewhere. Whoops, I inverted. That's awesome. Yes, yes, Morik, it is very squarey. As I said at the beginning of the stream, this is a basic dungeon I'm using specifically to teach how to do dungeons and parallax mapping. I may or may not use this in the final cut of the game. So yes, to anyone who says, oh my god, this is so squarey, yes, this is very squarey. That doesn't mean a darn thing for the final cut. All right, there we go. And one more room filled with moss. Let's have it be this room up here. Flip horizontal. Fit that right in there. And delete. Okay, so now we have a couple of problems here, and these problems need to be fixed. The main problem is that these squares right here with the holes in them are now covered in moss, and that's not acceptable. So what we're going to have to do is actually go to one of the holy tiles, one of the tiles with the holes in them. I just need to find, here we go, this will be fine. And I need to select the tile, that would help. Thank you for not complaining, much appreciated. Okay, there we go. There we go. Insert BG music here. I have no idea what that means. You're talking about doing a dev stream with background music. I've never actually thought of doing that. Guess I could add background music. I get distracted, so that's why I've never done it. But as you guys can see, what I'm doing here is I'm carving out the holes in the moss so that it doesn't look like the moss is covering the holes, so that's not realistic. And right there. Okay, so now I've got to decide what to do with this because this looks completely out of place. I think what I am going to do is I'm just going to put that on a wall, make that wall moss, and call it a day. And I'll put it up. I'll move the whole floor because I'm an idiot. And we'll just put it up here. It's a good room to put it in. Let's put it in here. There we go. So this is the moss room. Now, I get to get rid of the holy wall holes. I get to get rid of those. Get there and zoom in real close. That's not working. Okay, let's see. What's a good way to do this? There we go. And let's set that tolerance down to like 15 and see how that looks. There we go. There you go. That's delicious. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, then we bring the moss wall back, which is, where's that moss wall? Here it is. There. We delete that. We come back and we move this over to here and delete that there. Oops. There's the other wall moss. There we go. Delete. In fact, let me call that wall moss copy. All right. So we're starting to see some life in this. This is starting to look a little less boring, but there's still so much more we're going to add. I mean, this is just the beginning. This is adding flavor, but we're going to add a whole lot more. In fact, I thought it might be cool to cover some of the, oh, the hanging vines are coming, Morog. Hanging vines are coming. Absolutely, I'm not done. But let's go ahead and do this. Call that floor moss small. And let's add its brother over here. Do that. There we go. Now we just need to kind of carve out the pieces that aren't going to be used. Cool. And back to this tile because we need to punch out some of the holes. Oh, we need to go back to 35 here, tolerance. There we go. Whoops. There we are. Just move that over here. Select and delete. And that did not work. Why did it not work? Oh, okay. Oh, because we have it on two sides. Okay. There we are. There's our holes. Add some rubble or crumbles, however you call those pieces of falling stone. Debris, yes, debris is coming. I love it, man. People are just giving great advice, and all of this is coming. So yes. Let's see, what is next? Let's add the climbing vines, because that's what our buddy asked for. That would be Morog. So we'll add the climbing vines, which are right here. Okay, first we gotta kind of layer these together. So we'll call that moss layer. And let's call this base layer. We didn't actually do that. Lock that in so we can't move it anymore. Call that base layer. Alright, so now we have above the moss layer, we're going to start adding hanging vines. Put some right there for starters. So you pick up the book, The Florist. Thank you, it's a choose your own adventure book. Love it. Okay, so we'll put that there. And we'll see how it looks scaled. It's either going to look good or it's going to look terrible. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and we'll add some hanging vines. Oh, wait a minute. Gotta name the layer. Hanging vines. Skyforger, that's a good idea. We'll see how things are going in the stream, whether or not I want to add that at this time, or if I want to, I don't know what I just did there, come back and add that, but that is a very good idea. Oh, okay. Is that Yuki? Is that you, Yuki? Bet you anything that's Yuki. Yup, thought it was you, Yuki. You're disqualified. You know what? I just realized something, and no one caught this yet. But I have no tiles here, here. I have no tiles that are messed up here and no tiles that are messed up here. So I'm going to go back a bit and do that. And I'm going to jump in a couple of those real quick. Thank you, SG. Yeah, this is as I've told this story before, but hey, it bears repeating. When Teal and I first started looking at making the Rosenhearts, we actually sat down and watched some of Echo's and Fallen Lorelei's streams and videos on parallax mapping. And we actually sat down and talked quite a bit about whether or not we wanted to do parallax mapping or regular tileset mapping. And it just so happened that over time, basically an afternoon, we decided we were going to do parallax mapping and, you know, put forth the extra time that it takes to do it in order to really make the maps the best that they can be. Not to say that anyone who does tile mapping is lazy, or not to say that anyone who does tile mapping isn't doing the best they can, but we literally came to a decision tree, kind of like in a choose your own adventure book, and made this decision to do this and go ahead with it. So we're kind of committed at this point. There's really no way to get around doing it without looking like, you know, having egg on our face and looking like we kind of gave up. But I don't regret it. It takes longer. It really does. But in the end, I really like how the maps look. And so do you guys, apparently. I've been getting nothing but compliments. All right, let's add a few more holy tiles. And you guys can decide what I tackle next. Do you want me to tackle debris or things like pillars? Let's see what it says in the comments section. Or the chat window. This is after I finish the climbing vines. Browsy wants debris. Okay, it's 1 vote to debris. SG says debris and pillars, which is the exact opposite of what I wanted. I wanted a vote. He said both. All right, thank you. The remains of previous explorers. That is an awesome idea. Especially considering this goes to the Nile source. That is a fantastic idea, BPG. Of course, if I do that, I'm only going to do a couple of them. I'm not going to have a ton of remains. Okay, we'll call that hanging vines. Okay, let's start locking some of these in place here. Let's get the debris in. Okay. All right, looks like debris is winning, so we'll go ahead and do debris, which I think debris is down here. Look at these pillars we get to add later. Yummy, yum, 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 yum. All right, here's some debris, which we're going to make this look a little bigger because that's teeny tiny debris. All right. And there's some debris, and we're going to make that a little larger. Not too much larger because then it'll look scaled up. Ugh, see? Yeah, it gets blurry. And I chose rotate because I can't click on anything. There we go. There we go. Call that debris. Make this into its own floor decorations. Okay, so we got some debris. Let's add in the debris. And you got to be a little careful with this. I'm going to turn the grid on because anywhere there's debris, the characters can't walk. You guys are crazy. I love y'all. Absolutely love y'all. Always buy my RPG stuff through Steam. Yeah, same here. I'm a big Steam guy. Love Steam. Ugh, nope, absolutely not doing that. There we go. Zarsla, I did the exact same thing. I got the older versions of RPG Maker just so I could use the converted assets. Because some of that old stuff, especially some of that old music, is boss. Absolutely boss. Okay, so now that we've done this, we're going to go back and we're going to shift a couple of these by mirroring them. Because otherwise it all looks the same and the same is boring. And make sure you do that too, especially, well, do it if you parallax map. If you tile map, you might be able to go and change the tiles in like GIMP or Photoshop. And that way you can have it. You just don't want something to look exactly the same over and over again, because that just gets really tedious really fast on the human eye. And that one right there. There we go. Should be enough debris for now. Debris layer. Go ahead and lock that into place for the moment. Actually, no, we're not, just in case I got to move the debris. Because now I'm going to add in the pillars. So let's see, which pillars do I like? I like the square ones, so that's the ones we're going to add. Oh, something I'm going to have to do, because I'm going to be adding in my own shadows at the end of this. I'm going to get rid of the shadows. Excuse me. There we go. So I'm going to get rid of the shadows here. Oh, crawled up too high, so I'm going to change that to 15, 18. 18's fine. There we go. Alright, so let's see. We have a couple of options here for the pillars. One of them is to place the pillars in the corner, and I think that's a little too oh shoot, more debris. Huh. I think that's going to be a little too obvious. You know, it's just a little too regular. So I'm going to instead place the pillars in different areas here. SG, I know you're happy. We'll call this debris layer 2. Okay, pillars. Put that one right in the center there. Because we are going to have enemies here. So it will help to have the areas where the Rosenhearts can kind of dodge the enemies and not get into combat. Ooh, that looks good. All right, let's take a look at the whole thing. Much better than it was. I think there's still some more things a lot more we can add to it, but it is definitely starting to fill out and look a lot more like a lively dungeon than it did. We can add in these things. I think this is going to be the next thing I add. Ooh, altars too. But for the moment, I am going to do what BPG suggested, and I'm going to see if I can find any remains here. Not just the skulls, actual body remains. If not, I'm going to have to go look at other sprites. Okay. So let's search for remains. Let's go to Selenia's and see where her dungeon is. So I think she has dungeons. Prison torture. Oh, there we go. There's some remains. Bring that into Photoshop. Should the remains have moss on them too, or like vines growing? Possibly. Not going to rule anything out. Pillar layer. Okay, let's lock in the debris in the pillars for now. Okay, so now I get to decide where I'm going to put my guy. And I want to put my guy right here, and I'll probably put another one elsewhere. But let's go ahead and put him right here. There we go. And that is way too darn small for this game. So we're going to flip it. We're going to enlarge it. There we go. That's better. So we got him there. And we're going to call that remains. And I actually like the moss idea, so I'm going to go ahead and put another one someplace where there's moss. Put one over here. There we go. And let's go back here. Copy some moss. Come back here, zoom in, because we're going to be operating. Or sand. I will address that in a second there, Yuki. Okay, so we go to remains copy. Invert. Go back to the skeleton moss, we'll call it. And delete. I'm awesome. Invert. Delete. And now you have a moss-colored skeleton. Oh, that looks nice. But you know, I think I'd rather have him leaning against the pillar. I like that so much better. Remains buried under sand will look epic too, especially if it's a desert dungeon. This is a desert dungeon, yes. No, this is not a desert dungeon. The Nile is only a desert when you're in Egypt. When you're in the parts of Africa where the Nile source is, it is jungle, so this is a jungle dungeon. And I misspelled remains because I'm a stickler for that. Plus teal rags me. Alright, group from layers. Remains layer. Oh, that's starting to look really nice. Okay, let's add some more stuff. Let's add some of this junk down here. Idols are good. In fact, let me just go ahead and I can always not save. Go ahead and remove the shadow from the idol. Does Teal do parallax mapping too? Absolutely. She does a lot of decorating. Like I'll do the base map, and then she'll decorate, and she is the queen of decorating. Have y'all ever seen the fairy? You know what? I'm going to pull this up because I am really, really proud of this one. Fairy tree sunlight. Here we go. This is teal. This is all teal. This is 100% teal. Just give it a second to load. Actually, that's not teal. That's me. Actually, that's me and teal together. Hold on. Oh, here we go. And this actually shows up in the demo, but that is all teal. Everything you see here is 100% teal. She did this one by herself. All I did was I just created the shell for her, and she decorated and added the shadows and the lighting effects and everything. So she does parallax mapping really well, but her forte is decorating and effects like that. All right, let's add in the idle. Got to blur that a little bit. Where's the blur tool? Thank you. Yeah, it is amazing. I consider that to be one of the best maps we have for the game right now. And I'm not kidding. So if you see her on Discord, let her know what you think. She would love to hear your feedback. Okay, we're going to put an idle right here because why the heck not? The idle should be here. Yeah, let's put the idle right there. think we have enough going on with this room, so we can put an idol here. Put an idol back here because why not? Put an idol over here. Actually, no, I'm going to put something else there. Reminds me of Almec from Legend of the Hidden Temples on Nickelodeon, if anybody remembers that. And I want to put one way over here. See, they'll still be able to get around this way, so that's fine. Okay, now I'm going to go and grab this bad boy right here. And add that right there. Whoops. Okay, so now we're going to get something really fun. Yes, Temple of the Hidden Legend. Legend of the Hidden Temple. Used to watch that when I was younger, back in my younger days. Okay, so we're going to grab this. I don't know why I keep hitting Control B. I'm not paying attention. Okay, we're going to put that over here. Oh, we need to rename these. Darn it. Idle 2. I'll just copy and paste because I don't want to be renaming everything all day. Idle 2 copy. There we go. Okay, so now we go to idle 2 copy, select, go to here, and we have a moss covered idol, which we are going to now copy, duplicate, and put up here in the moss room. Right. I just remember that the Legend of the Hidden Temple, the final temple run at the end, was next to impossible, so they ended up getting sued, and they had to make it a lot easier. So in the later seasons, the temple runs were a lot easier. I'll never forget that little story there. Okay, so now we are really looking good here. We can go ahead and we can do more. One of the things we can do is we can take one of these holes and enlarge them and have part of the floor caved in, since you guys seem to like holes. Another thing we can do is we can add more junk and more pieces. We can add rocks. Like we can add moss-covered rocks. Let's add a moss-covered rock. I like this one. Oops, let's get rid of the shadows first. And as you can see here, what I do is I blur the edges down here, so it doesn't look quite so cut off where I cut off the shadows. Yeah, I believe so, Zarsla. I'm not 100% on that. Like I wouldn't stake my life on it, but I do believe they did get sued by parents because it was actually impossible to complete the temple run, I believe. And if that's not the case, then I heard incorrectly and my sources are wrong. Put one there. Yeah, if it's actually not true, then please forgive me, but I believe that's what I heard through the grapevine many years ago, that they got sued. Because it was impossible. If you ever watched The Legend of the Hidden Temples, and sorry if I'm boring any of you guys here, if you ever saw Legend of the Hidden Temple, the temple run at the end for the first couple of seasons, no one ever completes it. But as you get to the later seasons, they actually do finish them and actually get the grand prize. Okay, so now we're going to carve. Okay. We'll just call that rocks. Rocks copy. Rocks copy 2. If I can remember to copy 3. Okay, so let's start grouping these things together. Idle layer. And rocks layer. Okay, so let's see, so the critical path, yeah, that's fine. It looks like a bunch of spaghetti there. Okay, so we have a temple now that is in severe disrepair. It's not boring by having the same thing over and over again. I am going to add one more thing, and that's I'm going to add a hole right here that's kind of big, because I think that is a fantastic idea. So kudos to whoever suggested it. Then I think I'll add some of this stuff in and I'll be ready to start doing lighting. So let's go ahead and select this. Ooh, let's go with 35. There we go. And we'll add the hole in, what's the most sterile looking room? I think right here. There's a buckled tile there. I may not have any room. I may not have any room. Could add it there. Could delete that one. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Where are they? I think that's going to be one of them. Yep. Okay, so let's hide that for now. And add the hole. Rotate the hole 90 degrees. Put it right here. Let's scale it up and see how it looks. Oh, it looks terrible. Never mind. You know, why mess with perfection? I could fabricate a hole, but that's going to take a lot longer than I want to for this particular stream. So, like I said, I can always come back later or just scrap the whole thing. Add little details like cracks and such in the staircases too. Yeah. Well, the staircases that are available, this one's not really available. That are visible, this is not really visible. But what I could do is I could take that bit of nonsense. Could take this. stair cracks. Add that there, and then just kind of carve it out. That's a good question, SG. If I want to add, you know, like what their weapons were and such, or their armor, I could. Or in this particular game, it would be accessories, because in the Rosenhearts, you don't buy weapons, your weapons level up. Which some people are going to hate and some people are going to like, and I don't care, it's my game. But you're going to level up your weapons. So I would probably put stuff like accessories or other such things. There we go. So hopefully that satisfies you there, Yuki. We got cracks on the stairs. These stairs are hidden, so they're not really going to show the cracks very well. Could just copy and paste them. And then rotate them. There we go. All right, let's add a little bit more stuff, and then we'll start adding in the lighting. This doesn't matter where I add it, because I'm going to have the characters able to walk over grass. There we go. All right. All right, so now we have some grass that kind of looks like it's coming out. If you look at it closely, you'll see that it comes with a little darkness down here, so it can look like it kind of come out of the tiles. I don't have to make any cracks or anything there in order to make it look good. It looks like it automatically is just coming out. And we have creeping vines, we have statues, we have idols, we have pillars, we have cracks in the wall, we have the remains of two people, one poor soul there, and one poor soul there, both covered in moss. I love that effect. And that's pretty much it for the thing. So I'm going to put out a last call. If anyone has any last suggestions as to what they'd like to see in this map, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to start adding lighting. Give you all a couple of seconds here. Let's take a look at the map. Tell me if you see anything else you'd like to see. Excuse me. Today's stream is brought to you by Powerade Zero. I drink a lot of that. It's my vice since I don't drink soft drinks. That and coffee. Not together. Okay, give you guys another minute or so to make a suggestion. Some slightly darker stone. I could. Actually, I could take the stones that we already have and slightly darken them. Or I could add one of these bad boys right here. Add this guy right here. Could do that. Anyone have any other ideas? Add the bad boys. All right. Slightly darker stones it is. Thank you, Yukimkun. Go to the rocks layer. So rock can lay the smack down on this candy map. What will you be fighting in here? I am not 100% sure, BPG. We actually haven't gotten that far in designing the logic behind this dungeon. We're just designing the maps right now. I know that on the overworld for the Nile, you're going to fight crocodiles, but more than likely, yes, SG, that's actually a really good idea. Probably things like scorpions, spiders. I don't know if we're actually going to fight skeletons in here. It might just be animals, because I think we're at that stage in the game where they're more dealing with nature than they're dealing with venomous snake. Snakes are everywhere. Yeah, so probably it'll be things like creepy crawlies and slithers and stuff like that. That would be my guess at this point. How did I manage to put that there? That's awesome. Cobras. Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? So yeah, to answer your question, BPG, more than likely scorpions, spiders, and snakes. I don't think I'm ready to add in the undead just yet. Now watch, now that I've said that, Teal's going to say, oh, we need to add in skeletons. Need to be lots of skeletons. Okay, I think that's enough for now. Wanted to show you guys how to add in the lights and the shadows. At least it's not Grayson. Oh God, I don't even. Just don't. Alright, so what we're going to do for shadows is a little bit different than what we did for the overworld. Let's go ahead and do that. Scale. Alright, well, that's the opposite of what I wanted to do. There we go. We just need one. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple of places with spots. So we're going to have a spot go, say here, spot go here, here and here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, this is going to go like this. Awesome. Okay. Have this go down directly. Again, awesome. Oh man, I am just batting 1,000 today. I'm going to get rid of this one. My light source is a little skewed, so anyone who's looking at it saying, what is Steel doing with his light source? Steel's going to fix that. If Steel can hit the button. Jeez, I'm Pete's. Okay, I am just messing up right and left today. There we go. Okay, we're going to get rid of this one and redo it. Let's see, light source can come in from here. There we go. Are parallax shadows and lightning better than using... You know, I've never used Kaz's lighting ever. So I don't want to say it's better. I don't want to say it's worse. Thank you, BPG. Thank you. Thank you. Just listen to what BPG says. Okay, now we're going to add these. Okay. And I need to pull up some information, so bear with me a second. In my notebook of many things. Okay. Light is going to be F7 FFC2. We're going to feather first. Feather 10 pixels. Oh, yeah, I need an actual layer. Dork. Sun beams. There we go. And make that 25%. But we're not done. Because now I got to go in everywhere where I see a sunbeam hitting something, I got to actually create a shadow. So we need to create a shadow for this rock and a shadow for the idol. So we do that by, and I've done this before. Anyone who's seen some of my other maps on Discord, you'll recognize how it looks in the end. But you create this right here. You come up to Image, Adjustments, Brightness Control, use Legacy. Do that. Flip it vertical. Bring it down here. Distort that sumbitch. Where it's coming in roughly the same direction as the sunbeam. Change the opacity to 60. Now actually going to change the opacity to 40. And place it behind the actual object, and you can barely see it. So we're going to make it a little longer. Do the same thing for the grass. Those are some huge sunbeams. Yeah, they're pretty big. All right. Now the rock. I believe it's coming in the no, it's going to come in the same direction. See, so that debris is not going to get caught. That stuff got caught. Pillar's going to get caught, and then that's it. Okay, so we just got to do the pillar. There we go. And I can tinker with it a little bit more later on to really make it look good. This is the basics. Now the last bit is really tricky. And if this works, it'll make the map look fantastic. And that's to create something I like to call sky shadows. Sky shadows are shadows that appear above the layer. They're on the overlay layer. And what it does is it darkens up the character. Because this is supposed to be a dark temple with just partial sunlight coming through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer. And I'm going to call it Sky Shadows. Ooh, excuse me. And I am going to fill it with black. Then I'm going to change the luminous to 36. And I'm going to carve out the ceiling. Ooh, I need to change that on the stairs. I'll do that right now while I'm thinking about it. There we go. Okay, back to that. Sorry, a little bit of side thing there that I missed earlier. Okay, sky shadows. We're going to carve out the ceiling. Hide the sunbeams while I'm at it. All right, so now that we've done that, we're going to go to the sunbeams and we're going to select the sunbeams and go back to the sky shadow layer. Let's see, we want to contract by 10 whoops, expand by 10 pixels. Actually, we want to contract by 10 pixels because we want to invert first. Stop it. There we go. We want to invert. Then we want to contract by 10. And then we want to delete the sunbeams themselves. So what we have here now, oops, I forgot to feather. Silly me. There we go. And I deleted the sunbeams because I was on the wrong layer. Thank God for undo. There we go. So now as you can see, there's shadows over the place where the player is except where the sunbeams are hitting. The sunbeam area is lit up completely. And I think that's where I'm going to leave this for the moment. Like I said, I can make a lot of changes. I can work on this for a long period of time and continue to improve it. I may or may not actually use this final cut in the final cut of the game. So before we move on to Rosenhearts, the actual demo, which I'll play, I'm not going to play that much of it. It'll maybe about 5 minutes. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone have any questions about what we did today? Or any other questions about game design? Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you like it, Zarsla. Yeah, I'll give about 2 or 3 minutes for any questions, and then I'll move on to Rosenhearts for a few minutes. Thank you very much, SG. Thank you. A lot of it... Who's next on the list? We got a couple of things we have to take care of before we do a Let's Play, but the next one that's actually up on the list for public Let's Play is The Tavern by Moral Anxiety Studios. That is the next one on the public list. Just letting you know I'm watching. Also wondering why I'm not awesome. You know, I'm watching, LOL, also wondering why I'm not as awesome at mapping. Well, anyone can do this. The big thing with parallax mapping is it's time consuming and it's Photoshop techniques. It's not, you know, it's a combination of mapping techniques and learning good, you know, mapping techniques, level design, critical path, optional path, etc. and learning Photoshop techniques. And yes, as SG just said, practice does make perfect. In order to get really good at this, you have to just keep doing it. Like I said, and I'll show that file again that Teal made. I do consider this to be one of the best maps we've ever made. And this is 100% Teal, and this is just showing Teal's practice over and over again, making map after map. So let's see, we actually had a question. Shouldn't the light beams only show in those rooms that have a hole in the ceiling? That's more of a design choice, Skyforger. I could go back later and just remove them here, like cut them here, cut them here, that kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with doing that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it into the RPG Maker engine and see how it looks first. And if I have to, I'll just redo the sunbeams and redo the sky shadows. Either one's acceptable, but I understand your point, Skyforger, and you actually bring up a really good point. In fact, the more I think about it, Skyforger, the more I'll probably go back and do that later on, because that's going to look, I think, in the end a lot better. But I'll go ahead and evaluate it, run it by Teal, and see what she thinks. How about the plugin for the parallax map layering? There's a number of things that I have to do to prepare this for actual RPG Maker in order to run that plugin. And if you're asking for me to show it to you, that would be its own tutorial, its own stream. That takes a while. Show picture? No. Okay, I see what you're asking, SG. Okay, so what you're asking is how do we do it? There's actually a plugin. Go ahead and pull up the list of plugins. That's not the list of plugins at all. That's the list of plugins. Ultimate Overlay. That's the parallax layer one that we use. And that is what we use for it. And what it does is it allows you to create a parallax background and then use parallax. Thank you. Parallax background and then create like parallax layers, light layers, etc. Okay. Get the point, Skyforger. Absolutely, we'll take a look at it later on offline. That will require me redoing the light beams and redoing the sky shadows to make it look the best. Right. The shadow layer, the sky shadow layer, is part of what would be the overlay parallax layer. That's the layer that lays on top of everything that the character walks behind. But since it's opaque, it'll just make the character look more darkened. The light layer is its own layer that brightens up the character. Tactician, the Krelixis Chronicles are actually pretty good. I would recommend continuing it. We enjoyed playing through it that playthrough. Okay, if there's not any other questions, I'll move on to Rosenhearts. I'll give everybody another minute. I know the stream is a little bit behind. Of course. But I always work with feedback, Skyforger. You know me. I listen to feedback all the time. Okay. I'll give one more minute for questions. I know I said I'd give a minute, but I am going to give one more minute for questions, and then I'm going to move on to a nice 5-6 minutes of the Rosenhearts. All right, looks like that's it. Oh, Oh man, Tactician, don't worry about it. No one puts out a perfect product their first time. In fact, no one ever puts out a perfect product, period. And everything, especially when it's in beta, is going to have bugs and flaws, etc. But you can tell when you play a project, and I mean, Teal and I can really tell whether or not someone has put a lot of effort into it or if they've just slapped it together. And games like the Corlixus Chronicles, Winter's End, Lily Renewal, that's just to name a couple. It's very obvious a lot of work went into those games. Trom as well. Sorry, I shouldn't need to mention Trom. It's very obvious that those games, a lot of effort and a lot of thoughts going into it. While there's others, which I'm not going to name because that's not the kind of guy I am, where it's very obvious they just slapped it together and handed it over to Teal and I to take a look at and said, here, what do you think? So we can tell. And when we see a game that it's obvious that work is going into it and it's obvious that someone's trying, it really makes us feel good because we feel like we're doing the best we can on our end to make it the best it can be. Oh, absolutely, BPG. Absolutely. Hands down, Winter's End is one of the best games we've played. In fact, all three of the ones that won awards for our game jam, we just have nothing but glowing things to say. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Rosenhearts. Sure, save changes to the game. I don't think I made any changes. And I'm probably going to have to change the volume, guys, so if you can hear the volume, forgive me if it's too loud. Oh yeah, it's way too loud. There we go. And if you can't hear me, just say something. Alright, we're going to go ahead and select new game. By the way, this is not going to be the finished artwork. I just went ahead and ripped this offline. We actually are going to have an artist create artwork for us, so don't worry if you see anything that obviously doesn't fit. And also, this is not going to show up. This is the developer's room. I'm bringing you straight to where the game begins. Alright, here we go. We're going to have additional animation at some point. Okay, so it actually starts with Victoria waking up. That's a bit loud, so if you'll excuse me, I am going to lower the volume. There we go. Now people can actually hear me. The characters have just been on a balloon crash, which that'll become apparent very quickly. And that's our little tutorial pop-up. And here we have Victoria's sister, Naomi, laid out. Victoria and Naomi have very different personalities. Victoria is a lot more introverted and shy, while Naomi's very outgoing and extroverted. But they do care about each other. How they came to be and everything will come out during the course of this game. Oh, thank you, SG. And if anyone is familiar with classic literature, Phileas Fogg is the main character from Around the World in 80 Days. Because this is a Victorian story, you're going to see characters from classic Victorian literature showing up. Here we have Naomi throwing in her own 2 cents. And Mr. Fogg cutting him off at the pass. Yes, there's a lot of fog. If I'm going too fast with the dialogue, guys, let me know. Okay, so here we'll go. Get some treasure chests, got some bandages. Got some med kits. And got some leeches. I'll show you what those do. Yeah, you can see this is, we're using the old Mog Hunter graphics, so we haven't had a chance to get our busts in yet, so of course these look nothing like the characters. Med kits work outside of combat and treat wounds. Bandages work in combat and also treat wounds. And this is very Victorian here. Leeches cure poison. Because back in the day, during the Victorian times, they felt the physicians would bleed you to get rid of toxins in your body. Each one of these objects is interactable. So it kind of adds to the story. Yes, default placeholder, yes. And we try to have most of, if not all of our objects interactable, so it shows, you know, what you, so it gives you the desire to explore and look around and add story. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save. As you notice, when you approach the save journal, it opens up and you have particle effects. Thank you, SG. Yes, they do speak it, except for Naomi, who's slightly more modern in her speech, but that's in keeping with the character. Yes, they do speak in Victorian oldish tone. Yep. And we'll save there. That is not the final bust we're going to use for Victoria. That is one that we had someone design. We're not going to go with it because it doesn't fit. But that does show the old design we were using about a year ago. I'm not going to continue to explore, but you can actually read each one of these and see what they say. Yes. For those of you who are familiar, thank you, SG. For those of you who are familiar, the Black Forest is actually a forest near the Belgium-Bavarian border, or nowadays it would be Germany. Back in the day it was Bavaria. All right, let's get in some fights here. And these are not the battlers we're going to have. We're actually going to be using Dragon Bones, but since we're waiting on the artist to get everything done, which can be time consuming, we're just going with the default battlers for the moment. Thank you, Nirwanda. Yes. Black Forest is also cake, yes. Alright, regular attacks cause more damage than techniques, but techniques add debilitation, I can't even pronounce it. Status ailments or buffs. Techniques do not cost MP, but affect when you take your turn. Yes. Don't worry about magic, you'll get that later. So basically, we're using a CTB, and techniques don't cost any MP, but affect your CTB order. Regular attacks don't add anything extra. They don't add like poison or strength down or anything like that, but they cause more damage. We have some level 1 wolves, so we'll just go ahead and do a regular attack for Naomi. That was enough to kill. We'll show some techniques here for Phileas, and he has one that sends skyward and grounded. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But he's going to cheer up Victoria and speed up her agility. And we'll have Victoria do Fire Burst, which causes fire damage. And now the wolf goes and does minor damage. I'm going to have... Another thing you can do is you can guard. And what the guarding does is the guarding actually affects your order. You recover from guard very quickly, so you can use it if you need to, like in the case of Naomi, go a lot faster. Also, each person also has rest, which allows you to recover your HP just by taking a turn. And we'll have Naomi finish this guy off. And just so you know, Victoria hates snakes with a passion. Right. We decided not to do that. What guard does is it affects your CTB order. Thank you, Nirwanda. Okay, so there are special states in this game called Reeling, Skyward, and Grounded. And Reeling causes the target to take 10% more, Skyward to take 25% more, and Grounded to take 50% more. So this is whether their reeling is off balance. Skyward is they've been knocked up into the air. Grounded means they'll be grounded. They're flattened onto the ground. Also, if you dizzy an enemy enough, you can stun or daze them, which will double the damage. So there's special types of states you can use in order to debilitate your enemy and make them really weak to attack so that you can just destroy them. Like, for example, I'm going to have Naomi use Terra Slam and ground this snake. Which was enough to kill it. Alright. Then I'll have Phileas Fogg use Uppercut and send this guy skyward. And then she's going to use Distraction, which is going to dizzy the enemy, which lowers their attack. See, he missed. Now I'm going to have Naomi finish the enemy off. How comparable is Mog's battle wield with Hemi actor commands? I don't know. That's a good question, Zarsla. Okay, so each enemy has a certain radius, which is their alert status. That's Mog Hunter. That's a Mog Hunter plugin. So if you get close enough to an enemy, they'll hone in on you. If you stay away from an enemy, they won't. We're just gonna go ahead and fight these guys. So we'll have Naomi ground an enemy. Oh, they're gonna die. Well, nah. She'll probably survive. It'll probably survive. Now Phileas is just gonna attack it and do 50% more damage, which will probably kill it. There we go. Yeah, we thought about that, about giving her some sort of negative status which automatically comes in the moment she sees a snake. We may still do that, we may not, but that is a very good idea, Epic. Hemi, battle weather would make great addition. She just share type snake shall have a chance not attacking. Well, that's always possible. Not a bad idea. Slap. We're gonna reel it. Phileas attack. And that's enough to kill it. This is real important because this comes into play for boss strategies later on. Some enemies and most bosses cannot normally be grounded or dazed. You will have to inflict other status or debilitations on them first. For example, to ground a white wolf, you'll need to send it skyward first. You'll receive cues if you're on the right track. That's the reason why I asked earlier whether or not there is a plugin that applies a state if a state has already been applied. So like if there's poison, it also applies blind. The reason is because what we want to do is create a fake state, a empty state, like weak to skyward or weak to grounded. So that if you, like for example with the white wolves, if you hit it with skyward, then you'll also see flash on the screen weak to grounded, and you'll kind of have an idea in order to ground them next. So let's show you how that works. First we're going to get rid of the regular wolves. Now watch, if the plugin is working, watch, the plugin's not going to work and embarrass the heck out of me. But if Naomi attempts to ground the white wolf, okay, see, it didn't ground. What's going to have to happen is Phileas has to send it skyward first. We'll have her guard and wait. And then now Naomi should be able to ground it. There we go. So now we can cause extra damage to it with our attacks. And that was it. Awesome, so there's something we can use. Fantastic. Okay, great. I'll be pinging you guys on Discord later about this, because that's one of the things we want to do, and we didn't want to have another custom plugin written if possible. That way when you fight bosses, you may have to make this boss go reeling in order to stun it. Then once you stun it, then you can ground it. So that way you can really just tear a boss up. And now we have a cutscene showing up. Right, exactly, Epic. So we didn't want to have the entire backstory come out in one chunk. So we have it come out in small flashbacks over the course of the first dungeon, the first two dungeons. Well, the first dungeon, the Black Forest dungeon. So we have little itty bitty chunks. Just so you know, we cameo in our own game. You know, you're right. I forgot to move the fog. Thank you for pointing that out, Nawanda. Oh yeah, maybe that's why it's foggy. That's a good question, SG. I'll check and see if on my notes and see if I forgot to remove the fog. Or if the fog is left on purpose. Got some money. This gives you a chance to go back to the crash site if you forgot anything, or if you want to level up a little bit. So we'll do a little bit more around here, and then we'll call it quits for the day. If anyone has any questions or any comments or any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Yay, level up. So you see, you can always avoid enemies if you don't want to fight, as long as there's room. Release another Rosenhearts playtest video? Probably should. Yes. A surefire way to bleed the poison right out of someone's system. That's what it says for the leech. And you'll have other things like laudanum to treat certain status ailments. Snooper, this is Rosenhearts, the game that Teal and I are creating. We're just kind of showing around a little bit of it. Well, there's going to be a certain amount of Epic. There's going to be a certain amount of suspension of disbelief because this is a video game. And one of the things that they used for leeches is that they used it to bleed out the toxins. So we just use leech to get rid of poison because it bleeds out the toxins. Oh, shoot, Naomi missed. Hey, Linky, good to see you. I think we'll go to the next background story checkpoint and we'll call it a day. Which I think is just up ahead a little bit. Yeah, we'll skip this. Leeches are still used today, SG, absolutely, for blood clots. Absolutely. They are a fantastic way to cause bleeding. Oh, she's gonna get bit by a snake. She hates that. Yes. Yes, check blood flow. Exactly. That's awesome that you knew that, SG. No, that's true. Leeches do not hurt. You will not know that you're being bitten by one, that you're being pierced by one. Because of the anesthetic effect. Awesome. More snakes. Kill the snakes. Body slam the snake. Body slamming a snake. Due to my game being single player, all curing items in battle are instant cast, while resurrection items auto revive you. Cool. How many ounces in a cup? Okay, here we go. That's actually a good idea, Snooper. Yeah, epic, good idea. Yeah, I noticed that SG, so it was an error on the last part. Yes, tomato poisoning. Okay, that is going to be it for now, because a lot of it is just continuing the dungeon and continuing the opening part. You'll have to wait until the actual game itself comes out, the demo comes out, which will be sometime in 2018. We are currently waiting on the artist to finish the Dragon Bones, another artist to finish the status busts, the composer to finish one piece of music, and the programmer to finish the plugins we need to make the demo function the way it's supposed to. Thank you very much, BPG. If anyone has any other questions, either about the map we made today or about the Rosenhearts game, that would be great to know. I'm going to leave this open for about 5 minutes, and if we thank you, SG. If we have any further questions, go ahead and ask them. And in about 5 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and shut the stream down. Cool. My char sets, Snooper, those are all created using Game Character Hub Portfolio Edition. The forest was indeed parallaxed, yes. Yeah, I made it back in February. Yes. Now, just so you guys know, before the demo is released to the public, yes, absolutely, Atsuki, yes. Before the demo is released to the public, we are going to run it by Drifty at Driftwood Gaming to have him kind of give some final feedback on any changes that we need to make. We'll probably also look for a couple of beta testers, 1 or 2, maybe 3 beta testers to give us more information before we go ahead and release the beta to the public, the demo to the public. Then once we do that, then we're going to look and see if anyone else wants to join the team, and if so, then we'll kind of go from there. If it's just Teal and I, that's fine. We'll still put the game out. Rosenhearts will be commercial, yes. Yes, absolutely. We have put money into a number of the resources here, and we want to see if we can get even a fraction of it back. We're not doing this for the money, though. We're doing this for the love. Okay, any other questions? Oh, thank you, Nirwanda. Give it another 2 minutes for questions. Thank you, SG. We love the Rosenheart storyline. Like I said in the last stream I did, We have had a lot of love for these characters. We've kind of put it together over the course of many years, and we really care about this story, the characters, and the product. So thank you for that compliment. It is absolutely trying to come out in everything we do. Thank you, Snooper. We'll definitely keep you in mind. And guys, if you're on the Discord channel, oh, thank you, Zarsla. Yeah, we'll definitely keep you in mind. We're going to look for, once we have the demo out, we're going to look for people to join the team and help out. So just so you guys know, on the Discord channel, after I end the stream, I am going to hang out on Discord for a little while longer. So if you have any other questions, I'll answer them there in case you don't get a chance to ask them before the stream shuts down. And I'll go ahead and give one more minute. Excuse me. If you're interested in being a beta tester for Rosenhearts, or you're interested in helping out with the game just from what you've seen, go ahead and send me a private message on the Discord server. Wow, thank you, Nirwanda. I'm sure you're fine. Don't call yourself lazy, but thank you for saying that the game looks well put together and appealing. That means a lot to me. So contact me over Discord if you're interested in helping, or if you're interested in being a beta tester for the demo. That will be kind of a way I'll put your name on a list, and we'll see where we go once we're ready to do it. Okay, anything else? Cool. It's good to know, Zarsla. I mean, everyone has their strengths that they bring to the table. No one is good at everything. So what you're good at is how you can actually contribute to the project. Teal and I will use you to that capacity. Okay, anything else? I'll give it 30 more seconds. Till 1:30 my time. I think we're good. Doing this for the love. Thank you, Tactician. All right. Well, if you like what you saw, lay the smack down on that like button below. Subscribe to our channel. Consider supporting us on Patreon. Leave comments in the comments section. Connect with us over Discord. That's the best way to get in touch with us. Twitter, Facebook, and we